Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whoever in different places. Everyone, this is Abdul Wahab, heading SAP practice at Royal Sabre. On behalf of Royal Sabre, I'm thrilled to welcome you to today's sessions. Unleash the power of AI in your CRM with the SAP AI Toolkit. We are here to explore how AI is transforming the CRM landscape, making it smarter, more efficient, and customer-centric like never before. To guide us on this exciting journey, we are honored to have Kenneth Fardo, the Vice President of Product, Data, and AI at SAP, as our keynote speaker. Kenneth is a visionary leader with a proven track record in driving innovations at the intersection of AI, data, and enterprise solutions. His work has been instrumental in shaping SAP's AI initiatives, helping business across industries unlock the full potential of their data and technologies ecosystem. Kenneth will share his expertise on how SAP's AI Toolkit empowers organization to redefine customer relationship, streamline operations, and achieve unprecedented insights through CRM. We are excited to learn from him today, and and we will gain actionable insights that can help us all stay ahead in this AI-driven era. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Kenneth Fardo. Hi, Kenneth. Kenneth, you can use yourself a little bit. Yeah.
Absolutely. So hello, everyone. My name is Ken Fajardo. As mentioned, I'm the VP of Product here at SAP CX Data and AI. What that means is I'm responsible for interacting with our customers, our partners, etc., bringing out some of our latest innovative AI products out to the market, such as the CX AI Toolkit, a product we'll be talking about in greater detail throughout this session here.
Okay.
Sorry, just one last thing because I remembered. In terms of just background about me, so I've been here at SAP now about 10 years, always in the customer experience space, starting with our e-commerce, Hybris when it was first bought, and now change over to Commerce Cloud. Previous to that, I've been implementing e-commerce solutions, CRM solutions, etc. So all of these topics are sort of near and dear to my heart. And now with the addition of AI, it's been such a exciting time to be a part of kind of the transition to kind of what's next and what's new and what's possible with all these great tools. So nice to meet everybody.
Thank you, Ken, for joining us today. Even a little bit brief about myself also. My background also, I have started with SAP Commerce Cloud, right? So it's a long back. So then a lot of product in SAP, we started working on that. We are eager to hear your insight on how AI is shaping the future of CRM, right? From your vantage point at SAP, you have been at the forefront of these innovations. Here, I'm aware of that CX toolkit. There are a lot of, maybe few attendees may aware of the CX AI toolkit, right? Before starting, I just want you to provide a little brief about what is CX AI Toolkit. How does it differ from other AI solutions in the market, right? What is the primary goal of SAP CX AI Toolkit? Could you please brief a little bit about that?
Sure. And actually, for this purpose, if you don't mind, I have a couple of slides that I'll share. I'll try to keep it brief. We really want to keep today kind of interactive and maybe even do more demoing than slides, but just to kind of set the stage for folks, especially ones that might be new to the topic of the toolkit. So, when we talk about the CX AI toolkit, one thing I always like to start with is kind of the background, right? And what was our vision when we were thinking about this product, right? What did we want to build, especially with so many other AI things happening out in the market. And so for us, when we took a look at our customer experience landscape, we have CRM solutions, e-commerce solutions, marketing solutions, etc. One big piece for us that just made a lot of sense to focus on was this concept of, if we're going to be building some new AI tool or capabilities, we want to be able to leverage multiple data sources at the same time, right? We don't just want to add AI to kind of pinpoint solutions. That doesn't really bring, the biggest benefit for organizations, right? All of us, when we do our jobs, we have, parts of information in Outlook and parts of information in internal systems and, all of these different places. So wouldn't it be great, and doesn't it make the most sense to leverage all of those data sources at the same time when we're interacting with AI? So that's kind of a foundational piece for us, is multiple data sources. Now, on top of that, we also need to worry about things like integration, security, data privacy, even newer topics like AI ethics and what's the right way to handle using AI. And so for us, this sort of blue box that we have here, we call our trust layer, right? If we're going to be touching multiple data sources at the same time, we as a vendor need to make sure we are providing this layer of trust and taking care of all of these things on your behalf. Now, if you can tap into the multiple data sources, if you can do it in that trusted way, well, now we can start bringing in multiple AI services, right? And again, this is sort of our special sauce, right? It's not just an AI service, one little thing we're adding on. It's multiple services because again, just like with the multiple data sources, the more AI services you can bring and stay agile and flexible enough to add more as new things come out, then the more use cases and possibilities we can open up for our customers. And so this really is kind of the magic combination and the vision for the product, right? Multiple data sources at the same time, multiple AI services at the same time coming together. Now, if we can do that, if we can combine those two ideas, well, now we can put out to the market, and we have something called the CX AI Toolkit. And what it can do by leveraging those things is allow you to create and enhance e-commerce product data, create and enhance internal content, customer outreach content, help your sales and service reps find information they need from all those data sources to sell better or to service customers better, etc. Right? And so that, I think, encapsulates high level what we were looking to do with the product and what we wanted to put into it. The last thing I'll also mention is kind of interfaces, right? So when we think about these AI tools, we want to make sure it's easy to access. We don't want to give you yet another interface you have to go to, or smash another interface where you're already working. And so for us, we wanted to provide flexibility, right? We have a standalone web application for times where you do want to use the full screen. We have a Chrome extension, so no matter where you are on the internet, if you want to take advantage of AI, you can click on the Chrome extension, have it pop down, do what you need, and close it right back up. And it never interfered with what you were doing. And then lastly, we're embedding those AI capabilities right back into the source system. So if you are in sales and service as a sales rep and you're doing something, you don't need to go anywhere else. There's a little button now that lets you access toolkit features right there. So this high level, is really what the vision was for the toolkit, what we wanted to do that would help us stand out in the market, that concept of multiple data sources, multiple AI services at the same time, and all being built for business users, right? For those salespeople, those service people, the e-commerce managers, product managers, etc. I'll pause there for a second. Any comments or questions on any of that? And then feel free also to put stuff in the chat if there are any questions as we go through. But if not, let me go one step further while we wait to see if anyone has questions. So if this is the vision, right, this is what we were aiming to do, then the next kind of natural question is, okay, what is available today? And so the good news is almost everything there, right? So already available today, we have role-specific AI tools. So we've taken that combination of data sources and AI services and built out specific tools for those salespeople, service people, commerce people, et cetera. Also, obviously, as a kind of large enterprise scale software vendor, all the enterprise data protection and security you would expect, that's already baked in there. So you can use these tools, while feeling comfortable and safe. The third item here on this list, multiple data sources, like I mentioned before, right, already pre-integrated into our sales cloud, service cloud, both our legacy V1 and our newer V2 versions, our commerce cloud, our customer data platform, Microsoft 365, and even one that's not here on this slide, we also recently released support for bringing data in an Azure blob storage. So whatever kind of data, whatever kind of files you want, you can now just dump in that blob storage and the AI can access that for different use cases. Fourth item here, AI wherever you are. I was mentioning that before. We have the web app, the browser extension, and we're starting to see some of that embedded view of the tools within the source applications. And if we have time, I'll even demo some of that later today. And then the last one here, configurable tools, right? We wanted these, all of these different AI use cases to be really focused on the users, right? So we wanted to not just say, hey, generate text, but let the user pick how, what's the tone, what's the voice I want to use. Do you want to add additional instructions? Make sure you can pick which records you're using when you're building these things. So that configurability, customizability, makes a ton of sense for us when we think about enterprise use cases and all the different industries that might be interested in using these tools. So,
one of the great things, right, Ken? So one of the the question even from the audience also, right? So when you speak about different source system for the data, how do you able to the data quality in all those systems, and what types of pre-work business has to do or business required to ensure the tools can provide the output the business is looking for, right? So business will look some kind of output, and then do they need to do any pre-works to make that data quality perfect, or how it can handle?
That's a great question, right? And I would say always when it comes to AI, your AI outputs are only as good as the data sources you have available. So, one thing we do always recommend as you embark on this journey, right, is start with, kind of pace yourself, right? The goal obviously is to use all of these different data sources, but if you haven't reviewed the data in a while, then maybe it makes sense to kind of start small, right? And so for us, we recommend, hey, if you're gonna open up, let's say for a team of salespeople, you have a folder with, brochures, pricing information, et cetera, et cetera. Why don't you don't give them the big folder with 20 years worth of stuff. Why don't you start with a new one, right? Let's clean it up. Let's have just the data that's most relevant from the last year or two, right, that they can use. That way, you're starting fresh almost. You have someone go through and review the content, make sure it's still relevant, and go from there. Then from there, you can open it up and see, okay, now let's add some of the data from our CRM system, or let's add on data from an Azure blob storage with the 10 years of data that's there, and grow from there. So to answer, kind of circle back to the main question, data quality is always a concern, right? And AI is not magical, right? It does need to make sure that you need to make sure that the source of the data is reliable. However, that's why we've built it this way, so that you can kind of start small and grow, right? Or if you are already on top of that, if you're already constantly cleaning and checking, et cetera, then you're already kind of a head start, and you can start enabling multiple data sources at the same time. Last comment I'll make on this, one other big part for us is still having humans in the loop. For the vast majority of our tools, nothing is fully automatic, right? We're not generating an email and immediately sending it to a customer without a human at least being the person that pushed the button to initiate and review what was the output. And so that's another way to kind of hedge your bets here, right? If you don't want to go and clean all the data, well, then at least make sure your sales reps are being trained properly to, yes, use the AI to generate a new proposal for the customer, but make sure they're reading through it and just double checking to make sure that the output is safe. Now, obviously from our side, we do a ton of fine tuning on our prompts, fine tuning on the different data sources, adding additional kind of prompts in the background to provide context on, hey, if you're pulling data from this system, this is what that data is, here's how you can use it, right? So we are doing a lot kind of around the data to try to minimize issues, hallucinations, everything else, but it is still always a little bit on the customer and their data source to make sure that we're using what does make sense for your use cases. Sorry, that was a bit of a long answer, but it's a great question.
That's great. I mean, and also a good thing I have seen in the product, there is a layer for, the security. So most of the customers, concerns about the data security, right? So, yeah. Which is great, right? SAP is providing one of the layer, the security and ethical way. That's great. Yeah, please go ahead, Ken, right? Yeah, you can, go ahead on that.
Sure. And some of this might also make more sense as we kind of go through, but, keep the questions coming and feel free to interrupt me as I go through it. So, two more or three more quick things to show. So what I thought I would do kind of from here, rather than show too many more slides, is, like I mentioned before, we've broken down a lot of the core functionality into kind of prepackaged use cases for commerce people or sales and service people. And so here's a quick slide that just gives you at a high level, and this is not all inclusive, it's just some of our top use cases for commerce. Things like generating product attributes, letting a customer ask the AI questions about a product. That way they can finish their purchase faster. And even some of the new features we just released. So we made it easier for international businesses to translate both product attributes and product descriptions into multiple languages. We've also added the ability for users to write their own custom templates and prompts using the data in their e-commerce system. So just opening up really a lot of flexibility here, letting our commerce users leverage AI across multiple different parts of the kind of e-commerce business model. Now, what we'll do here in a minute, rather than go through these, I'll show you some of them in a demo. But we can also share these slides afterwards. Now, from a sales and service perspective, so thinking about a sales agent, a service agent, etc., we also have a whole different set of functionality, right? Our top one here, our intelligent Q&A. This is a tool that lets a sales rep or a service rep ask a question and source data or source an answer from across those multiple data sources. So I can say, hey, what's the latest pricing on this product, right? Because I don't remember, I think someone sent me an email with that, and I know maybe there's something in a SharePoint somewhere, but if I'm a new sales rep or a new service agent, sometimes it's hard to remember where that is, or even for us that have been in an organization a long time, like I said, things are in multiple places. So leveraging AI for some of these use cases where we've already plugged into multiple data sources can save people, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, per request, per customer they're working with, right? So it's just a huge win for organizations all around. And then a bunch of other cool stuff we've been working on, right? So our intelligent customer profiles, again, building out customer profiles, sourcing data from multiple systems, the ability to custom build, like we said with commerce as well, custom build these use cases. So, hey, the toolkit comes with maybe some out-of-the-box things to generate summaries and write an email, but what if for my business, for my industry, I have very specific requirements, right? When I write an email or create the introduction to a proposal for a customer, I need to worry about special legal terms. I need to make sure that I'm using, certain parts of the data that's in my CRM. What we want to do with the toolkit is let our customers build their own templates, build their own email generating tool that fits their industry, their use cases, their legal requirements, right? So that's exactly what the custom tool builder allows for. So again, these are just meant to kind of give a high level idea of what some of these tools might be. But with that, let me actually switch over and maybe we'll play around with some of the tools. So I'm going to pull up one of our
some of the part, especially the visual search and few things, right, in the demo part. If you can show that, that'd be great. Yeah.
Perfect. So, and sorry, I have my second screen here, so I'm not avoiding you guys, I promise. But just to kind of set the scene. So here's one of our demo environments, and you know what? Actually, I'm going to switch for a second. So here's one of our demo e-commerce environments. Now, in this particular example, it's a little bit more of a retail fashion store. So the use cases will lean more towards that, but you'll see very quickly that a lot of the AI tools we're using here can very quickly apply to B2B, manufacturing, kind of other use cases as well. So a couple of things to point out. So first, one thing that we've implemented is what we call our visual search. And the visual search is a great kind of example of using multiple AI services at the same time. Now, here in this, again, this store, it's all about this find your style. So the idea might be that, hey, my wife follows a certain celebrity. She really likes the look that the celebrity has, and she sends me a picture. But I, as a husband, know very little about fashion, and I need help trying to find, hey, what was the dress that celebrity was wearing? What was the purse, or whatever those things might be. So I can take that picture, right? I can take that image, let's say it's this one here, and I can upload it, and I can let the e-commerce solution try to match, let's say there was this dress, try to match the dress to whatever is closest in that catalog, right? Because again, maybe I'm going to my wife's favorite brand to try to find a dress that matches the look she's going for. So I can ask the AI to go ahead and search the catalog for something that would work. Now, the first thing that will actually happen here is not doing the matching. Instead, what it will do is it will come back and say, well, hold on a minute. You uploaded a picture that, yes, has a dress, but also has a bunch of other things that we sell, right? And so it will highlight and say, hey, there's jewelry up here, there's a dress here, there's a watch here, purse, etc., right? And so this first service here is what we call object identification, right? Breaking down an image into multiple pieces. That way the user can then select, oh, you know what, I didn't want to look for a dress, I wanted to look for the purse or the heels or whatever else it might be. Right, this also applies in B2B, where if you're taking a picture of a workbench and there's a bunch of small parts and you meant to search for just one, but there's 10 different things there. So it's a great way to help a human user be more specific in terms of what they were looking for. So let's go ahead and test it out. So let's say, okay, yep, sorry, I did mean the dress. Let's look for the dress. And so the AI can come back now and say, hey, look, here are the closest matching dresses, right? The first one, short, black, has a little bit more of a V-neck than that original picture did, but it's pretty close. The second one is the wrong color, but again, it's sleeveless, it has a better matching neckline, et cetera, right? And so as we go down the line, kind of the matches get further and further away, but that's what we expect with searching for the closest thing. Like I mentioned before, this is sort of the retail kind of example here. For B2B, we see folks using this for kind of looking for small parts, looking for products with complex product numbers that people don't memorize, even going back to like a warehouse or a storage room and taking pictures of whatever is on the shelves to quickly reorder things, right? So visual search, yes, great for kind of retail use cases, but also works very, very well for B2B and other use cases as well. I'll pause here for a second while I switch to kind of the next one here, but any comments or questions on this?
This is great actually, right? So when we purchase, sometimes I do see some of the product, I love that, but I don't know how to search that particular product. So I can take a picture and then can find out this kind of options which is available for especially B2C customers, right? So which is great actually.
Yep.
Exactly. There are questions actually. Does it use wireless? I mean, this particular product, CX Toolkit, does it use wireless technology or access to the internet is a prerequisite? That's a question. Is that? Do you ask? I mean, the person who asked the questions, do you ask whether that particular product required internet access to use this product, or can you repeat? Can you elaborate that a little bit? That questions. The question is, do you able to understand, Ken? I mean, does it use wireless technology or access to the internet is a prerequisite?
I'm not super clear, right? I think maybe the question is around the image and how we source that.
Well, search before that, right? Yeah, about the tool, right?
Yeah. So for that use case, right, the idea is that image needs to be. You could do that on your phone. You could be on a laptop. That from that perspective doesn't matter. Accessing the e-commerce site in general requires the internet. So from that perspective, you're already online. If it's about the image itself, right, you do need to probably download the image if you're on your phone, right? You screenshot it or save it. And then when you come here, you click and upload, right? So you would pick from your files to upload the image. So it does not, so you can't at the moment, switch to a different screen and somehow say, yes, search that, right? So we don't have that capability, but if you download the image and then use that to upload, there is always the upload step as of right now. In the future, we'll see where we go from there, but the upload is part of the flow.
Okay, so Anna, I mean, we have unmuted you. Could you please ask the questions, elaborate your questions, please? Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a question, like the data that you are entering and everything. Now, if you have to integrate it with the other, let's say, business owner, is it necessary for him to have the same AI toolkit, or that data is transferable without having that same technology at the other end?
Okay, good question. So from our perspective, right, the different data sources we talked about, so Commerce Cloud, Sales, Service, et cetera, we have pre-built integrations with those different technologies, right? The only one we don't have kind of a dedicated connector to is the Azure Blob Storage. So if you do have a system that is not one of our supported systems, you can export that data into an Azure Blob Storage, and then you can use that as kind of our data store or source, right? So whoever is the owner of the data does not need the toolkit in order to provide you that data into the Azure Blob Storage. Now that does assume that these are files, right? It's not kind of unstructured data, or it's not structured data, but you can export Excel sheets, CSV files, whatever else you might want to in there, and then the toolkit can pull from that data source. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. And what is like the cost of this SAP toolkit?
So for that one, I would say reach out to the partners and the sales folks. On the products, I do not control the pricing, and it's different,
Yes.
based on your agreements.
Yeah, and I mean, we can connect, right? So maybe, you can reach out to us, we can have a discussion on that, right? So the licensing perspective.
Yeah, what I will say is from kind of a pricing strategy perspective, this is usage based, right? So we do, the way it works is on number of transactions. So every time you do a search, a visual search, that's one transaction. Every time, and we'll see here in a minute, you ask the AI a question, that's one transaction. And so for us, the toolkit comes with a out of the box, let's say, or it is 500,000 transactions. So we give you a lot of transactions with the tool, and so the pricing is fairly low just for that. And then as you need more, you pay more for additional amounts of transactions, right? So it's very flexible, usage-based, very easy to get started with just the base package if that's all you want to get started, to test things out, and then add more as either your customers use it or you use it internally, depending on your use case.
Great, yeah, thanks. Ken, yeah, you can continue that, Ken, the product demo. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so let's keep going here. Just a couple of other examples. And I was just mentioning this. So let's say it's a shopper, right? They find this dress, they really like it, but they have a question, right? And again, let's say I'm the shopper, I'm shopping for my wife, and I know she's allergic to certain materials. So I can come here rather than try to find, because sometimes there's all these different tabs, there's attachments, PDF attachments with care instructions, warranty information. It can be a lot for a user, right? And I can get frustrated and say, you know what, forget it. I'll just get it off Amazon because it's easier to find the answer there. Or maybe I'll call in, but now I'm wasting or spending the time of the agent that charges by the hour for the company and everything else, right? So what if we could bring AI to kind of make that purchase decision faster, easier, and right there while they're still here looking, right? So I can come right here and I can say, hey, what is the fabric of this dress? And what the AI does here is it only uses the data that comes from this e-commerce system, right? That way we reduce hallucinations. It's not trying to figure it out from some Google review out in the internet with weird data. This is only based on the data that you have. So it makes it very easy, again, for the user not to have to dig around, but also feel comfortable with the output. Not only that, if you take a look, and it's a little small here on the screen, but at the bottom, if there was some PDF document, care instructions, warranty thing, you can even link it. Again, making the user, who again, maybe I don't fully trust AI yet, it's still kind of new, you can let them click on it and it will open up to really prove to the user, no, hey, here's where I got the information. And I can come here and say, hey, primary fabric, premium quality rayon fabric. So now I know, great, this product works for my wife. I can go ahead and buy it without being worried or concerned, right? And again, this is sort of a simple B2C example. It's even more relevant in B2B where there's tons of information, right? Materials, uses, legal requirements, countries where it's allowed to be used, right? All of these nitty-gritty pieces of data, right? Rather than, again, a purchasing agent having to dig through and try to find it, or again, waste the time of the sales rep or the service rep. I can type my question, let the AI find the answer, link the data sheet that it came from, and that way I can say, oh yeah, let's go ahead and purchase 5,000 of these steel beams, or this chemical mixture for my company, right? So pretty cool stuff there as well. But I'll pause. Comments or questions on this?
Well, nothing much questions on that, but yeah, I mean, I would love to see some of the part from the image resizing and other places as well, right? In the commerce, I have seen that's also pretty good use cases, and a lot of customers require that, right?
Yeah. So let's go ahead and switch. So some of those were kind of our front end use cases. Again, more stuff there. There's our shopping assistant that can help you find products from the catalog, all that good stuff. But then to your point, there's also kind of the back office or the back end use cases. So more around the data, managing images, manipulating images, etc. So this is our kind of web interface for the toolkit. So as an admin, e-commerce manager, product manager, I can come in here. Over on the left, I have some of my major tools. I'll click through some of them. We won't do all of them today, just in the interest of time, but I can come here and I can look at managing product attributes, right? I can see what are the attribute names, and again, these are all coming straight from Commerce Cloud, and the current values. I can see if there's any gaps. The AI can make suggestions on, hey, you should fill in for color silver or white, right? Things like that, right? So it can make suggestions to help you improve your data quality, number one. Number two, and let's actually go find our black dress just to be consistent. So if you are actually looking to add more data, right? Maybe you got this from a manufacturer and it only came with 10 attributes, and so your search isn't that great, your SEO isn't that great. Maybe you want to generate brand new attributes. So you can come over here and let's clear this out for a second. And I can come in here now and say, okay, AI, I want to create new attributes for this dress, but let's focus on style and shape type of attributes. And now I can hit generate. Now, talking again about that concept of multiple AI services, here to generate attributes, we can do it two different ways. One is using the data that's in the description. A lot of manufacturers send these really long descriptions with a ton of data in it, but don't actually break it down for you. So that becomes a kind of easy way to leverage AI. Or number two, if you don't have any data, you can use the image itself. So we can leverage an AI service that will visually inspect the image and make recommendations just off of that, or both. And so let's go ahead and do both here right now. We'll hit generate. And so you'll see this loads a little bit separately, right? First will be some from maybe the visual or from the description, and then the rest of the results will load. So we'll give it a second here. But you'll see as it starts coming in, the generated attributes, you know, things like fit, style, closure, sleeve length, dress length, right? That falls exactly with what I requested. Focus on style and shape, and then you'll see the values as well. Now again, all of this is meant to be helpful to a human, not replace a human. So you still need that human in the loop to look at these, review. They can come in and change, right? Add a, you know, say, I don't want to call it fit, I want to call it shape, or you know, whatever the case might be, right? And they can make all the changes they want here. Now, once they do this, it can stay here for other tools, which we'll talk about in a second, or I can even publish this back into Commerce Cloud. If I want to publish it into Commerce Cloud, though, we have to follow the rules of Commerce Cloud. So we need to worry about attribute IDs, classification, you know, all of those different things. So this truly is meant to work as an extension of Commerce Cloud. It's not sort of some separate thing with different rules, and now you got to figure out how to integrate the two. We've already done all that work for you, right? So generating attributes is a huge kind of win for a lot of our customers. Like I said, especially when they get data from another source and it's, you know, it's not very great to start, and it would take a human hours or days to generate all these nitty-gritty details. I'll pause there. Comments or questions on that?
Is this, you know, the part of back office add-on, or it's a separate extensions, this one?
Good question. So as of right now, this is a separate interface, right? So it has a different URL you have to log into, etc. However, we're working on for next year implementing this and integrating it right into the commerce back office as well, right? Again, that's kind of the general strategy for all of this. We start with kind of our own interface only because we have to go across all these different systems. So it's not just commerce, it's commerce, sales, CDP, etc. So kind of having a standalone is the easy way to get started. But over time, we want to bring these tools more and more back into that, you know, Commerce Cloud back office or sales and service interface, etc. So that 100% is the plan. But for the time being, if you want to access these tools, there'd be a different URL you'd log into for now.
Great, yeah, that's great. No more questions.
No worries. And then just a couple other quick things to point out here, right? I can obviously do this product by product, or I can also do this in bulk. So I can multi-select a bunch of products. I can filter and sort obviously as well. And then same thing, I can generate and it'll ask me the same thing. Hey, do you want to use descriptions? Do you want to use images? However you want to work. Now that was generating attributes. Next step might be generating descriptions. So again, we'll look for our Nietzsche dress here, and you'll see, as I go to generate descriptions, it actually starts with some of those attributes, right? And you'll see here, anything that has little stars, those are attributes that the AI had generated before. So I can pick attributes that I want to focus on when I go to generate a description. I can come down here, I can change the tone, which is basically the style of the writing. I can change the length of the description, and I can give it custom instructions, right? So again, for time today, I won't mess with it too much, but I can come in here and say, hey, we're doing a special promotion for Shakespeare's birthday or something. Let's make our descriptions rhyme for some of our highlighted products. And so you can really leverage AI to take care of something that would have taken a writer hours to figure out, how do I make something that highlights the right data but also rhymes or also meets these legal requirements about not using certain words or things like that. AI will do this in seconds, right? So that's kind of the next part, right? If you get the attributes right, well, now we can use those attributes to write better descriptions. And then the last piece here, product images. And so for us, we're kind of starting slow on product images, right? Image generation is still relatively new in the AI space, so we want to be careful about how we roll this out. So we're really focused on 3 key kind of uses here. The first is actually modifying a image. So let's go to some of our higher resolution images. So I can take an image here and I can change the background. I can just place it on a solid color, or I can remove a background. Again, manipulating what comes from a manufacturer. If everyone gets this data from a manufacturer, then that means the internet has every other vendor has the same pictures, the same background. So to stand out, one of the things that usually works is changing the background, changing some parts of the image, just to be a little different. So that's piece number 1, is changing and manipulating backgrounds. Piece number 2 is I can come over here and actually generate from scratch a brand new image. Now, if I were to try to get the AI to perfectly recreate these earrings, it's almost never going to happen, right? So the use case isn't use this to generate perfect images of the product, because you'd have to spend so much time writing every single detail about these earrings to get it right. Instead, it's more about generating either placeholder images or sample images to say, hey, we have new earrings coming out in 2025. Here's a high-level look at what some of the things might look like, better images to follow later, right? Or like I said before, kind of placeholder, temporary things. Just give me a picture of a shoe that's brown and write temporary underneath it, whatever the case might be. So that's the idea here. We want to be able to do that wherever possible. Start leveraging these technologies to manipulate images, add things to images, or generate placeholder images. Again, generating exact images is a really tall ask. I wouldn't recommend this for that purpose. But it is, again, really helpful in industries where, hey, I just sell chemicals. I need pictures of a barrel, right? Let's just do that quickly rather than paying someone $500 to go do a photo shoot of barrels, right? So that's the idea here. So those are the 3 big ones I would say from a data perspective, right? You have product attribute generation, product description generation, and product image manipulation / generation. But I'll pause there. Comments or questions on this?
This is great. I mean, I'll keep the questions at the end, right? So mostly now we can move ahead on that, right? Yeah.
All right, perfect. So just in the interest of time, then I'll kind of pivot very quickly. Let me switch over to our sales and service just to give folks a quick idea of some of the things we have for sales and service. So I'm logged in here actually to our Service Cloud V2. And I'm logged in as a sales agent, so I can see my leads, my conversion rate, all the typical things, and I can go and work on an opportunity, whatever it is I might need to do. What we've added, and again, this is actually the first one where we've embedded the tools right into the application, right? So you don't need to go to a separate URL. We've added this extra little button at the top of the application itself to bring in some of our toolkit features that are most relevant to a sales and service agent. Now, for the sake of examples today, so I mentioned this before, we have our intelligent Q&A. We'll come back to that in a second. The other one we have here is our smart actions. And smart actions are very, very cool. What this works off of is your email. So if I'm a salesperson, I'm constantly getting emails from customers, from my internal teams, etc. And what we want to leverage AI to do is just highlight, hey, what are the most important emails and what are the most important actions that we can pull out of those emails very quickly. And so you'll see here, right, here's an email from Michael Spalding. Here's a quick summary of either the email, or if it's a bunch of back and forth, the email thread, in case I'm just coming in now. It makes it easy for me to catch up. And then I can see if there's a question. Hey, is there a quote for bread flowers that was discussed, right? And you'll see here, as we scroll down, some of these others have other kind of actions. So hey, send over a quote or place an order, right? So depending on what the system recognizes, it will give you different recommendations. So this last one over here has some questions or requests, but it also mentions a ticket. So hey, there's a case number 12240, and again, oh, this is my account. There seems to be some issue. I can come over here and it recognizes it's an SAP record. Let me go and view that case, right? So without jumping somewhere else or going to a different system, I can see everything here, find the answer I need, and then decide, oh, let me call the customer or let me update my opportunity with them, very, very quickly. So smart actions, very cool, lots of data in a very small space. Last thing I'll mention, so if I click on a contact, and if you have our customer data platform, not only will it kind of give me information, but it'll give me information from across these different sources, right? So it's pulling data from, yes, my CRM, because it notices a ticket, yes, from email, because it's giving me that information, but it's now bringing me information from our customer data platform. So I can see, hey, what was the last order, total orders, total spend. I can see a summary of data from the customer data platform. I can even see things like segments. Hey, this is a priority service customer. I should really get on this one, right? So like I said, these smart actions brings a lot of different data from different places into one small space, makes it easy for a sales agent or a service agent to quickly find the things that are most important. Let me move back up here. Other quick things just for sales and service agents, ability to create account summaries, to put together questions for a discovery call, write personalized emails, right? All of these things already built in here makes it very easy to leverage as a salesperson. Hey, I'm working on an account, let me write an email. Hey, I'm working on something else, let me pull that summary, right? All in one place. Now, just because I know we're running low on time and I want to make sure we hit everything, last thing I want to pull up here, kind of related to all this, is our tool builder. So let me see if I can pull that up. I'll see if this cooperates with me. Nope, that's commerce. Apologies. All right. I think the webinar thing is blocking my window. So we'll circle back to the tool builder if we have a chance. Instead, let me kind of pivot here. Let's go back to our presentation. I'll talk a little bit about roadmap. I think this is a great next place to talk about. So where are we going next, right? And what's next in the world of AI and customer experience? So one big thing that we're all working towards, right, is this concept of AI agents. And actually, we're already, some of the tools we have out there already actually fall under this kind of classification. But basically, when you hear AI agents, the idea is sort of, yes, using AI, but in an even more automated way. Right now, a lot of our tools generate a description, generate a summary, generate attributes. It's still a human going in, pushing the button, doing something, etc. With agents, the idea is, having some sort of AI that waits for a trigger when a new email comes in, a new ticket comes in, a new product is received, and automatically can kick off a process, right? So, hey, automatically categorize these tickets or automatically translate product descriptions as they come in. And so that's exactly the idea, and that's what we're working towards going forward. Now, one of those things, one of those agent type functionality is what we call a shopping assistant. So having something that can help proactively a shopper on an e-commerce site. And so rather than waiting until they get to the product detail page to ask a question, you can have an assistant that at any point, the person can come in and say, hey, I'm looking for a dress that is black, that is made of rayon fabric, and that would be good for a formal occasion. Do you have anything like that? And the AI, just like we saw before, if it has access to the data, can find those products and can come back and give you a list of, hey, here are the 4 dresses that match your criteria. Do you have more criteria, right? And it can help you narrow it down, find the right thing without, again, having to be, a normal shopping experience where I got to go to the search and type some stuff, and then I pick some filters and I get some results, and I'm like, maybe the right filter is not there. I don't see something to filter by fabric, so I have to go and search, right? So this is the idea. If we can make things easier, automated, and help shorten that, kind of customer buying journey so that it's as simple as possible to get them to the checkout, that is always the goal, right? So shopping assistant for e-commerce is kind of a no-brainer for us. Was there a comment or a question there?
This is great, actually. One of the quick question in that, right? See, there are Joule working, in the background. A lot of business user using Joule, right? So that is also giving assistance to the business user. Is this shopping assistant agent also is a background? Still, it is required CX tool. It's a part of CX toolkit, or it's a Joule one kind of stuff?
Good question. That's a great question. So think of Joule as really only for business users, right? So those are for back office business purposes. So it's, hey, I need a report on this data. Hey, help me generate something related to doing my job. The shopping assistant and what we're building with the toolkit here is customer facing, right? This isn't for a back office person working in ERP or working in, Hybris or anything like that. It's for the shopper, right? And so the mentality is different and the use cases are different. So to answer your question, they are 2 different things, because Joule is meant more for business users using SAP software, and these tools, at least like the shopping assistant, is meant to be customer facing. So we have to be much more careful and specific about how we interact with customers.
How about data, right? So for this shopping assistant agent, mostly data would be using the commerce data, or different data as well we can integrate here?
No, great question. To start and to reduce risk, we are starting with only the commerce data that's in your commerce solution, right? A lot of these, underlying technologies, because we are using some of the best services that are out there, you could leverage data from the internet or from other sources, but the more data you bring in, the higher the risk is of getting wrong answers, right? Again, some random guy on a forum said, oh yeah, that dress is not made of rayon, it's fine, right? And now the AI says that and it's wrong, right? Or hallucinations, because you have a bigger data set, it's more likely to, continue and make up an answer that isn't based on the data that's actually available. And so for us, limiting it to start, to reduce your risk, to reduce, customer frustration is kind of our starting point. Over time, again, the ability to add more data is very easy, but we want to do that in a very controlled way, because again, we're working with the largest companies on the planet. We want to be very careful about introducing risk when it comes to, something transactional like e-commerce.
That's great. Yeah, let's move on. Yeah.
All right. So that's some of the stuff that's coming from commerce. Again, there's a lot more, but that was just one example for like as an agent. From a sales and service perspective, big thing for us is categorization of requests and tickets. Tickets come in, and we've actually seen lots of different iterations of this. We've had ticket categorization using kind of, I don't want to call it older machine learning, right? Where, you could train a model based off of your, last 5 years worth of tickets, and, it would learn based on how other tickets were categorized and move forward. Or now what we're trying to do is leverage generative AI. With generative AI, you don't need as many, historical examples. You don't need to train on such large amounts of data. And so for us, this is sort of a different way to try to solve this problem, right? If you're using machine learning to do this already and it works, great. However, if it's not working as well as you would like, or you don't have the amount of data you need or the history you need, then this gives you another way to try to tackle that problem, right? So the idea would be, again, in a more automated way, ticket comes in, the AI can check every new ticket and follow, some prompt, some set of rules. And in there, you can include some examples, right? But it's very lightweight. It's just a paragraph or two of instructions. And now it can start doing that categorization for you or for your sales reps. Make sure those tickets get to the right people quickly. Right? A lot of folks, like I said before, if they're in the situation where machine learning wasn't working for them, this required a human. They would have to come in, read all the information, look at the options, take the time, pick the right thing, and send it off. And each one of those tickets, just in categorization, can take somewhere from 5 to 10 minutes, right? And if you're a large organization that gets, some of the customers we spoke to get thousands of tickets per week, those 10 minutes times 1,000 adds up very, very quickly. So for us, again, kind of a no-brainer to try to use AI to help with use cases like this that will give these sales agents, service agents back hundreds of hours that they can then use to sell more or to make customers happier. So pretty straightforward stuff there. Yeah. Last thing I'll mention here. So those are just two examples. There's a bunch of other super cool things we're working on from an agent's perspective, but also just more commerce-specific uses, sales and service-specific use cases, things related to CDP and marketing, right? If you're interested in any of that, we'll provide a link here for the CX AI Toolkit roadmap, or you can just go to, I believe it's roadmaps.sap.com. That has all of the roadmaps for all of our products, and you'll find, if you search for the CX AI Toolkit, kind of our entry in there. But with that,
thank you so much, Ken. It was a great session, actually. Let me now wait for the attendees. I mean, if you have any more questions, you can ask. I'll wait for for a minute. So there are something. So there is questions, Ken, right? So how can business measures the ROI of implementing the SAP CX toolkit, right? So how business can measure ROI?
Sure, and that's a great one. And for us, the good news is so many of our use cases are very tangible, right? So hey, reducing the number of people who abandon on a product detail page because now they can find answers faster, right? So to measure ROI, it's very simple, right? You take a look at before you implemented the tool, how many people were abandoning their shopping journey on product detail pages, and then after the tool, how many people are continuing to check out. And that very quickly correlates to dollars, right? Conversion rate either goes up, stays the same, or goes down. And so it's very easy for a lot of these use cases because all of them, at least the ones we've picked, are tangible ones. Same thing with sales and service, right? Hey, how long does it take a salesperson to find an answer usually, right? Okay, that's 10 minutes of finding an answer every time they have to try to find a pricing thing. Okay, that's 10 minutes. How much do they get paid per hour? Okay, and how many sales reps do you have? So my recommendation when it comes to either building a business case or trying to see what's the impact is go by the use cases, right? Each use case, you can always find what was the current state and how long something was taking or how much impact it was making in the world of e-commerce, right? The conversion rate or average order value, things like that. And then compare it to when you implement this, either what's the expected if you're building a business case, or what's the actual. If you tried this for 2 months and you want to compare before and after, that's usually the best way to do it. And like I said, all of our use cases have been focused on things where we know there's an excellent chance of kind of getting that return. So we as SAP are more than happy to actually work with you guys on, hey, let's test it out and let's also do that comparison, because at the end of the day, you can become a great reference for us, a great story for us, and obviously you get the benefits of actually making more money or saving that much time. So that's my recommendation, is always look at the use cases, and 9 times out of 10 you can find easy ways to quantify all that.
There are questions, how faster it can be integrated with existing maybe SAP Commerce or Sales Cloud or any system. So would that take more time for implementing this?
No, great question. So the good news is this is meant to really be kind of a out of the box, quick to integrate. So we've already done all the integration with those systems. So Commerce Cloud, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, both are V1 and V2 versions, CDP, even Microsoft. Usually all you have to do is log into the backend, create an API user on the other system, do some API kind of handshaking, and then you're good to go, right? So to give you an example, we've had customers and partners get this set up and running in a matter of hours, right? Not days, not weeks, hours, right? As long as you have the right person that can create the API user, or that has, is the Microsoft admin, if you want to connect this to your email, then it really is built to be kind of a turnkey solution. Now, on the flip side of that, sometimes you need to do a little more work. Sometimes if you have an AI council and they need to review things, or the Microsoft admin wants to understand, what's the architecture and why does it need these permissions, then you need to set up some meetings, and it takes a little longer, right? So from a pure technical perspective, it should be hours. From a normal project logistics, right, sometimes it can be a little longer, but that's not the software perspective, that's just the project perspective, right? And I think the folks at Royal Cyber probably, can kind of test to the difference between the two.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, thanks so much, Ken, for your time. It was a great session. It's almost, time, our end of session. Thank you so much for your great time, actually. We would love to, use this CX toolkit across our customers as well, definitely. Thank you all for joining us today for this insightful discussion. We hope you found this session valuable and are inspired to explore how AI can elevate your CRM strategies. If you have any questions or need further assistance, please feel free to reach out to us, info@royalsaber.com or sapsales@royalsaber.com. We are here to help you unlock the new possibilities. Thank you so much. Have a great week ahead for you guys. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, everybody.